Over your heart. Again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, I would like to call Hugo with Just Communities.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? My name is Hugo Santos, and I'm here for Just Communities, which is part of the Network for Linguistic Justice. And I'm here as interpreter to translate from English into Spanish for those of you who want to hear all this presentation in Spanish. I have some equipment in the table back the door, and just raise your hand up. Call me, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you. Erica, would you call the council to order or do the roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Villaseñor.
Here.
Councilmember Alex.
Here.
Councilmember Edmonds.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mccall.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
All present.
Okay, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. Can I entertain a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 5A, Trunk or Treat People's Choice Award.
Okay, I would like to call Heather up. So, on behalf of the city and the Parks and Recreations Department, we want to give you this award for being the best trunk or treat for this year of 2021. We tallied all of the votes that were received from the community, so thank you very much for your support and congratulations.
Okay, moving on to item number 5B, Max Pena's street name presentation. It's going to be presented by Duke Bradbury, Assistant Sheriff Chris Dunn, and Jessica Pena.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff. It's my pleasure to speak with you regarding the naming of the West Alley in the 300 block of Central Avenue to honor my good friend Max Pena's 53 years of public service. In researching Max's service to our community and personal accomplishments, I was aided by 5 commendations previously city councils had honored Max with from 1992 to 2018, and we have those right there if you'd like to look at them. The 1992 commendation, Max was selected by a group of his peers as the city's Citizen of the Year. Proclamation goes on to say that when one thinks of Max, they automatically think of a caring person with the gift of giving self and many good deeds and achievements he accomplished over the years. The 1996 and 1997 commendations refer to Max's law enforcement contributions to the community, his contributions to Fillmore, North Fillmore Storefront, and the Fillmore Pyro Boys and Girls Club. Starting with his career in 1965 as a reserve officer with the Santa Paula Police Department, then in 1971 he was hired as a patrolman with the Fillmore City Police Department until being promoted as sergeant. In 1987, the city contracted with the Sheriff's Department, and Max was hired as a deputy sheriff. Max's loyalty to the community kept him from transferring to more challenging and career-enhancing assignments in the Sheriff's Department, and his loyalty was greatly appreciated by city officials. Max worked with local youth in several areas, from organizing the bicycle rodeos to the Police Explorer program and the Boys and Girls Club. As a youth services deputy and gang liaison officer, he was able to settle differences between rival gangs and prevent violence in the community. In March of 1978, during the devastating floods, Max was one of the 3 Fillmore officers that risked their lives, forming a human chain to remove residents from the flood waters. For their actions risking their lives and going above and beyond the call of duty, they received the Medal of Valor, the highest honor a police officer can be awarded. After a county-wide interview and selection process, Max was selected as the first community service officer using volunteers and soliciting contributions from longtime friends. He was able to renovate a laundry room in the North Fillmore area, turning it into the signature building for the first police storefront. Max also served as the first president of the Fillmore Boys and Girls Club, which he helped spearhead the raising of over $105,000 to get it started. He was also able to obtain a small grant of $18,000 to construct a park with a basketball court and 2,000 square feet of grass area for the club to use next to the storefront. The 2004 and 2018 commendations refer primarily to the storefront and Max's retirement. Max established the highly successful Fillmore Police Storefront Station in 1995. Max took on this challenge that bridged the gap between citizens, gang members, police, and schools in order to reduce crime and gang violence. The storefront was a positive presence since day one, as it provided space for the after-school programs, adult education, counseling, and legal services, prevention programs, and other community activities. It also provided the benefit of a safe location for contact with the police. Legal services were provided pro bono thanks to local citizens like Laura Bartels. When Max retired from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department after 35 years in law enforcement, he was hired by the city of Fillmore to continue overseeing the North Fillmore storefront and coordinate community programs until his retirement from the city in February 2018. The Christmas basket program was the most dear to his heart, and he coordinated with churches and volunteers to obtain food, toys to be delivered to needy families in the Fillmore and Pyro area. Max helped deliver the baskets, and the Santa would usually be in the police vehicle behind him. He did this every year from 1971 to 2013. I would like to add that Max did all these things honorably and selflessly, oftentimes sacrificing family obligations. His family realized how important this was and gave him their full support. If the council would like to read any of the proclamations, I did bring those up, and I'll leave them here until tomorrow if you like. This concludes my presentation. I'd like to thank you for allowing me this time on behalf of Max's family, friends, and myself. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thanks, Duke.
Good evening, Mayor, honorable council members. I am Chris Dunn. I'm Assistant Sheriff for Operations with oversight over all the patrol services and special services. On behalf of Sheriff Ayub and the entire Ventura County Sheriff's Office family, we want to thank you for considering naming this parcel of property after such a dear and beloved person within our agency and within the community. That was one of the better synopses of his career and life that I've ever heard. That's generally the information we would have to query our HR department for. And I did, so I'm just going to throw this away. I should have just called you. But he had some very, very important notes, and what really, to its core, shows you what Max was and the person he was. He was that person that the local community members went to for if they had any sort of dispute, whether it was family, youth. He was like the street counselor out there. And the storefront was a huge project for him, and it paid dividends for many, many years. Also, the Christmas toy drive for the kids, with over 800 kids this year participating. I mean, that's massive. That is incredible. Right. Yeah, he first started his career in law enforcement at the age of 21 as a reserve officer with the Santa Paula Police Department, and then was hired by the Fillmore Police Department prior to our contract with the city of Fillmore, at which time, as was previously stated, he became a deputy sheriff. And he spent many, many, many years of his career as a deputy sheriff right here in Fillmore. Didn't want to go anywhere else. And if you asked him why, it was because Fillmore was his family. Not because his family lived in Fillmore. Fillmore was his family. What a tremendous, huge heart this man had, and how he viewed his service. And when he worked here, he felt that he was protecting his family by working here. Just amazing. I wish We could say that about all our deputies. I wish I could say that about myself, right? I mean, it's incredible, the giving personality that he had and the person that he was. His public service spanned 5 decades. Not many people can do that, right? We all know how much it takes out of us as individuals to be public figures and to do our civic duties. He did it for over 50 years. That's amazing, amazing, in several different capacities. So, on behalf of Sheriff Avey, and like I said, on behalf of the entire Sheriff's family, and we consider it a family. If you ever get to meet with us and when you see us interact with our coworkers, we really do believe that. We are extremely appreciative of the consideration of naming that property adjacent to the Fillmore Police Station after Max, and we think it would go a long way towards showing the support for not only Max and his family, but for the agency as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. My dad's much better at this than I was. My name is Jessica Pena Felix. I'm the daughter of Max Pena Sr. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for allowing me to be here. My dad was a good man. He was a fighter till his last breath, for himself, for his wife Susan, for his family, and also for his community. I wanted to share a short story of my life growing up with my dad. Growing up, my dad worked a lot. When he would finally get a day off, we would plan a family outing. As we would pull away from the house, someone from the community always stopped us as we were leaving, whether it was a runaway that trusted him, a worried parent, or just a person that needed advice that trusted him. We would tell them, or he would tell them that he was sorry, but he'd have to wait for he was going to be with his family today, but the worry was always in his eyes. So my mom, being my mom, would say, "It's okay, Max, go help them, we will wait." And my dad, being my dad, would go and help. I have tons of stories like this. I would like to thank the Sheriff's Department for all they have done. Their brotherhood is like no other. The farewell they gave my dad at his funeral was one of a kind for one of a kind. I would also like to thank the City of Fillmore for allowing Duke and I this opportunity to keep my dad's memory alive in all of us. If approved, it would be a true honor on behalf of his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Could I say something, Mark?
Yeah, you can say something.
My name is Lynn Edmonds. Can you hear me? My name is Lynn Edmonds, and I was fortunate to know your dad, your uncle, for many, many years in many capacities. He was the school resource officer for a part of the time at the middle school when I was the principal there, and he would work primarily with the gang youth, which was very helpful. He also was just a friend, and then I also volunteered at the Free Legal Aid, and I watched as he grew and developed and brought all kinds of people into the area to give them advice. They would come, all different kinds of people, as you know, would come and ask advice, and then he would come to the lawyers and ask what he could do, and really worked out intensely the problems. I volunteered with him when he was doing the Christmas giveaway. Oh my goodness, what a scene that was, because it was out of the Fillmore substation down there, and oh my goodness, we had to work so hard, but it was a lot of fun. I remember he used to raffle off chickens. So it was just, it was wonderful knowing him, and you should be very proud of being his family.
And thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 6, public comments. Our first speaker is Kenneth Creason. Mr. Creason, you have 3 minutes, and the light will.
Thank you.
You'll have 3 minutes, and the light will turn green when you can go, and then yellow when you have like a minute left, and then red when your time's up.
Thank you,
okay?
sir.
Thank you.
Mayor Austin and members of the City Council, my name is Kenneth Creason. I've lived in Fillmore for more than 45 years, and it's a wonderful little town. We're all family here. But on Thanksgiving Day, at El Dorado Mobile Home Park, where I live, the power was shut off at 5:20 a.m. in the morning, and it didn't go back on until 9 the next day, on Friday, the 26th. No notice. The thing that really came home to focus on the abuse that we suffered that day was the new development, the bridges, had power all day. The industrial area from Polk Creek to El Dorado had power all day. We were out from right at 29 hours with no power whatsoever. A lot of people are elderly in El Dorado. I would say the average age there now is probably about 70 years of age. And it's difficult for old people when things go wrong, and that is very wrong. When you can't even make a cup of coffee for breakfast, much less thinking about cooking a Thanksgiving dinner, it's almost an impossibility to face. To top it all off, the cell phone tower that services that area was dead. We couldn't even use our cell phones to call. And I want to say that I have no grudge against the bridges or the industrial complex that had the power on, but I would like to have an explanation from the Edison Company to tell us why we were singled out to shut off our power. We have underground power lines. We're not a hazard to starting fires because we have an old power grid in our park from overhead service. But to see us suffer the entire day when the wind was not even an issue, that added insult to injury. Now, if you have a complaint, you want to be able to call somebody and talk to them about it. I tried for more than an hour and a half on Friday to call the Edison Company. I took their public service number and called. All you get is a recording. They jump you from one department to another, to another, to another. You never get to talk to somebody that you can talk to. It's all recording. And I think that's an insult when you have something like this to talk about. I want to remind the City Council, this is not the first time the Edison Company has shut power off. It's affected our neighbor cities. The Simi Valley, 1 year ago, had the insult of having the same problem. Their power was shut off. No explanation. It was supposed to be because of high winds that were forecast for the day. I look at the winds and say, fine, if they're there and it's necessary to shut them off to keep from burning the place down, fine. I think anybody that's reasonable would go along with that. But when you have no high intensity winds, it's doing no damage, and you have a community with elderly people shut down for an entire day and no way to contact anybody to see if you can't get power back on or to file a complaint, that's wrong. What I want to do is ask the City Council to help us.
Can you please wrap it up, Mr. Creason?
I'm sorry, sir?
Can you please wrap it up?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm asking the City Council to help us get a meeting with the Edison Company, AT&T, and the fire department. If you could help us do that and have them come to the El Dorado clubhouse, it would be a big, big help to all of us, and I would thank you immensely for it. And I want to thank Lynn Edmonds, one of your members, that she's assisted me tremendously, and we respect her for her service to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. But we can't vote on it. We have to. We can bring it back on another agenda, Dave.
Yeah, what I would just like, with the family being here, if City Council wants to move forward with it, which I believe you do, let the family know we want to do that, and we'll bring it back for official approval on a future council meeting.
So should we go ahead and do that right now?
Yeah.
Then?
There was a presentation, so you guys can do that.
I'm okay with putting on the next agenda. You?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so we have three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put it on our next agenda and vote on it.
Yeah. So thank you very much. It'll be official
Thank you.
next council meeting.
Well done.
Well, thank you.
Our next speaker will be Kate Furlong. Did I say that right, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't read your L. It kind of.
Sorry. I write science.
So you have 3 minutes. Also, when it gets to yellow, you have 1 minute. Then when it's red, your time's up.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, hello, my name is Kate Furlong. I'm the programs manager for the Ventura Regional Fire Safe Council. My dad was actually a senior deputy sheriff here for years, so Fillmore is near and dear to my heart. Our organization was founded in 2009. We're a nonprofit organization. We were started by ranchers and farmers, but we've evolved over the years. We work and partner with local fire departments. Since 2009, we've grown, we've learned many lessons, and we've adapted to changes in our communities, and we've expanded throughout Ventura County. There are now 4 different fire safe councils that are within Ventura County, and we all work together in collaboration with fire departments to activate and empower the communities that we work with to participate in fire prevention and encourage resiliency at the neighborhood level. Fire safe councils are grassroots, community-led organizations that mobilize residents to protect their homes, communities, and environments from catastrophic wildfire. Fire safe councils throughout California educate homeowners about community wildfire preparedness activities while working with local fire officials, like you, to design and implement projects that increase the wildfire survivability of our communities. Some of our programs include chipper events, defensible space creation and hazardous fuels reduction activities, which we conduct up the road, home hardening, which helps reduce the loss of structures due to ember intrusion during wildfires, education, and community wildfire protection planning. I'm here to talk about our community wildfire protection planning that we're working on. This is a new endeavor for our organization. We've been working on updating the existing plan that was adopted in 2011. Since then, we've had major catastrophic fires, so it obviously needs an update. And we're also working to create 10 smaller plans, one of them for the city of Fillmore. We're prioritizing different projects. We're working on community engagement and education, structural hardening, defensible space creation, fuels treatment, evacuation planning, and other mitigation preparedness such as the CERT program. So I wanted to do a presentation to you just to introduce this project. I'm already working with Christina, and I worked a little bit with Lynn on this to try to get this started. But I wanted to introduce to anyone else who's in this room who's interested in participating, who has any input or ideas for projects that they would like to add to this. I want to make sure that it's inclusive and that we cover everything, because this is how we get funding for these projects. So I want more money to come to Fillmore, and this is how we do it. So if you'd like to, and if you're interested, you can either reach out to me, Christina, or to Keith. My email is kate@venturafiresafe.org. Thank you.
And we can reach you at...
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Kate.
I have 2 items I'd like to pull. 7D and 7F. But I could just talk about them. It's not really to pull them. It's up to you. Right now, or okay, 7D, it has to do with the contract for the, may I take my mask off so people, it has to do with the contract for the water bill that we subcontract to a company, and they do a really good job, and it comes out in a nice little envelope, and it's got colored front. But the color front, and then in the back, it's in English, and it's tiny little letters, and it talks about how to appeal. And I would suggest that instead of having the color front, which I would assume is more expensive, that it be black, and that the back be colored, and it not be appeal, but that on the front it says something like, in both English and in Spanish, if you want to appeal, call this number. And then, because it's a really complicated process. And then also on the front, say something like, look on the back to find city events. And then in the back have both the advertisement as to the city events that are coming up. Because I talked to a lot of people about what the best way to let people know in Fillmore about upcoming events. And the Spanish community primarily said it's the water bill that comes to everybody. And so I would suggest that we advertise. We do such wonderful things, and we really should promote them through the city, I think more comprehensively to everyone. So those are my 2 things on that one. And then on 7F, it has to do with, I'm not at all questioning the issue itself, and that has to do with the increase in legal fees, because Tiffany hasn't had a raise for 4 years. But I would like to see if we could have some money set aside for new businesses that are not going to make any changes to the structure. And so that they don't have to pay for the legal fees or the engineering fees, but they just simply can pay for the permit only. And so that came up as an idea when I saw the legal fees. So I'd like to suggest that the businesses not have to do that, so that we can get more productive little businesses here in town. And that's it.
Council members? Okay, I'd like to move to approve the consent calendar.
I will move that.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We're moving on to item number 8A, or 8, number 8A, selection of the 2022 mayor and mayor pro tem.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
That'd be the last time you say that for a while.
So I'm here today to request City Council to select the 2022 mayor and then the mayor pro tem. And so how the process works is I'm asking you today to provide a nomination, and then for a council member to serve as mayor via motion, and then the motion must be second. After that, the council members will vote for that nomination. If the nomination does not receive a second, then, or the vote fails, then a new nomination is made until we can have a nomination second in the process. So once we've done that, we'll do the same thing for the mayor pro tem. And then once the two nominations are solidified, then we'll do the council rearrangement at the end. Okay? So.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Diane Mccall for mayor.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay. Do I do the vote?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I'd like to, I'm sorry, I didn't want to jump in. Are you ready, Mayor, for the Mayor Pro Tem?
I got to switch seats with her, and then she'll take
We don't have to. We can do it in a
Okay.
second. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to make a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem of Lynn Edmonds.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you. Now you may rearrange and we'll move the plates around.
Oh, my goodness.
Aye.
This is it.
Moving to new real estate. I've
See, we
never sat in this chair.
we did this last year on Zoom. Well, congratulations, Diane, and congratulations, Lynn.
You're on the far side.
Oh, hi.
It's a day for the first time.
Just
This is-
when you thought you were comfortable.
City government musical chairs.
I know, right?
Yeah, we're kind of balanced.
Okay.
Unbalanced.
Oh, that's true. That is true. One of the chiefs always did it.
I probably should take my own water back, shouldn't I?
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah.
Please take it.
Here you go. We have some water.
Ew. Oh, there you go. It's not his, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Okay, are we good, Erica? Okay, very good. Thank you. So we're going to move on to item 8B. This is appointments to the City Council Committee Commissions Liaison and outside agencies, and I'll turn this over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm here today to request that the mayor appoint with City Council consent representatives to City Council to various intergovernmental agencies and a few ad hoc committees that we have. So I was planning on just going down the list, if that's okay with you. And then we can start the nomination process. I'll reference who is the current appointee, just so that you can have some sort of reference, and then we'll go down the list. So we'll go ahead and start with the Ventura County Animal Regulation. The primary on this commission is Mayor Mccall, and then the alternate is Councilmember Austin.
I'd like to keep that one. I think I've been on it since the very beginning.
I'm okay being an alternate.
Okay. Next one would be the Air Pollution Control District. We have as the primary Mayor Pro Tem Edmonds, and then the alternate was Councilmember Larson.
I'd like to stay on it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. I'd like to stay on that.
Okay.
Take an alternate on that if nobody wants it.
Nope, it's all yours.
Okay. Moving on, the Ventura Regional Sanitation District. I have as the primary Councilmember Austin, and the alternate was Councilmember Larson.
Mark decided that that was not one he wanted to continue, and I said I would be glad to do that unless someone else would like it.
I just need some time off of it.
Oops. I'm happy to be the alternate. This is at Thursday at 8:30 a.m.?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's Tuesday and Thursday every second
Alternate?
Tuesday, second Thursday and fourth or third, somewhere in there.
Monthly, twice a
And then
month.
if you sit on a committee, it's an extra meeting.
Okay, in person at this point.
They're only doing Zoom meetings
At this point. Okay, I'm happy to be the alternate to that.
Okay. Moving on to the Ventura County Transportation Commission. Currently, I have Mayor Pro Tem Edmonds, and there is no alternate on this commission, so.
I really like that committee. I'm also on the statewide Cal Vans committee, so I'd like to stay on unless someone else wants it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, the Ventura Council of Governments. The primary used to be Councilmember Larson, and the alternate is Mayor Mccall.
I would like to be on that one, the lead on that one.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'll take alternate.
Okay.
Those are back in person again too.
Oh, they are? Okay, I was wondering.
PCOG, yeah.
And those are once a month.
No, I think are they once a month still?
Yeah, they're once a month.
Okay.
Aren't they, Dave? They're once a month.
Okay.
Okay, the Economic Development Collaborative for Ventura County. Primary used to be Councilmember Larson, and the alternate is Councilmember Villaseñor.
Simone, if you'd like to keep the lead, if you would like to take the lead, I'm happy to stay an alternate on that.
Does anybody else want to take the lead on that one?
Go ahead.
I mean, I would be glad to if you don't want it.
Well, I would like to take the lead on that. That would be
Okay,
interesting.
that's
Do you want to?
Lynn, do you want to be the alternate?
No.
Okay.
We're all very agreeable here. Works out well.
Okay, and the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance. I currently have primary Councilmember Villaseñor, and the alternate is Mayor Pro Tem Edmonds.
I'm fine being the lead still.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and take an alternate on that. If Lynn's okay. Okay.
Okay, so now moving on to the standing committees.
Oh, we forgot about the Fillmore Basin Groundwater Sustainability Agency.
I have that one under
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
standing committees.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No
Erica.
worries. Okay, so for the interview selection commissions committee, I currently have Mayor Mccall, and then the alternate is Councilmember Austin.
I think
I'm good with that.
I think that's both of us. It's not-
Correct.
It
You
is.
both are,
It is
yes.
currently both of us.
I'm fine with staying
I'll
on
keep
that also.
interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you use your mic.
I got so good on that side, now I have
You'll get
to
it.
change sides here. We clearly have different points of view, and Christina and I tend to vote similarly, and Mark and Diane tend to vote similarly. Not always, but it's common. And I thought it would be a good idea to maybe mix us so that Mark or Diane is mixed with Christina and I, so that we're...
I'll step back. You guys
No,
take
no, I'm
one.
not saying
I'm
that.
good.
Step back too.
Well, then I'll step back.
I bet.
No, so I don't know, which committee was this you were talking about?
This is the interview and selection committee for the commission. So whenever there is a commission appointment that needs to be done, we usually recruit it from like the HR perspective, but then we provide all the applications to the committee, and then the committee makes a recommendation for the appointment.
I'd be glad to be on that, if that is okay with y'all.
Yeah, that's what it'd be. So me and you, Lynn?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. The Ventura County City Selection Committee, that one goes automatically to the mayor, so it's going to go to Mayor Mccall. The Utilities Ad Hoc Committee, currently we have 2 members, Mayor Mccall and then Councilmember Villaseñor.
Do we still need
even
that,
use that
Dave?
committee?
Yeah, I was going to say, we
Yeah,
haven't done that in
utilities.
years.
Yeah, I don't think
I think we should ditch it.
Nix it.
Yeah.
we had one, I think, email type question this year, and that was it.
It was a committee that we used probably 6 years ago on a fairly regular basis, but I think it's kind of fallen off. So if
Okay,
everybody's good, why don't we just get rid of that?
okay, that's fine.
The Special School Board Ad Hoc Committee is currently composed of Mayor Pro Tem Edmonds and Councilmember Villaseñor.
Does somebody else want to take part of that?
Well, can you explain a little bit about that one to me? Just
Maybe Dave should do that.
Dave.
This is essentially where the school district has 2 board members,
Yeah.
and the city appoints 2 council members. We get together whenever there is a topic for discussion. Currently, one of the discussion points has been the aquatic center
Yeah.
that we've been talking about, and then talked about interpretation in meetings previously.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever topics come up.
I am interested in that one. So,
I'd like to stay on it if possible, because
You want-
education is my background.
Sure, Simone, I'm
So
fine
the
with
two of
you
us. Are you
going
okay
with Lynn.
okay.
Okay, now moving on to the Fillmore Pyro Basin Groundwater Sustainability Agency. Currently have Councilmember Villaseñor as the primary, and then the alternate was Councilmember Larson. So we need to select the alternate, and then during the January meeting, I'll have to bring to you a resolution for the appointment to be formal, which we submit to that matter.
Does anybody want to be the alternate? Mark, do you want to be the alternate?
I'm fine taking the lead. I've actually learned a lot, so I'll keep the lead on that.
I figured you would.
I'd be glad to be the alternate because I was on it prior
on
to
it.
Christina,
Yeah, you're
and I
more
did
up to
enjoy
speed,
it.
yeah.
I'm not really up to speed, but I'm more up to
You're more up to
speed
speed than I am.
There was a lot of heavy lifting this
There's a
year on
lot
that
of
one. I
heavy
think
lifting.
2022 is going to be a little bit smoother.
Okay. The Economic Development Committee, I currently have Councilmember Austin and then Mayor Mccall.
Oh.
Have you been
Yeah, I'll-
going to that?
Yeah, I'll stay on that.
I'll stay on that also.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one we have is the Budget Ad Hoc Committee, currently composed of Mayor Mccall and Councilmember Austin.
I'll stay on that.
I like to stay on that also.
I'd like to have a spot on the budget committee, on the ad hoc.
Okay,
It would be okay.
Go ahead, take it.
All right.
Okay.
Actually, do we even use the Economic Development Committee? When did we last meet?
We used it a little bit this year.
Okay,
but
it was earlier in the year.
Not anything that
Been,
came to fruition.
okay, but we did use it this year.
Yeah.
I think it was earlier in the year.
Dave, 3 or 4 times this last year.
Okay, that's fine.
How often do they meet, Mark?
Just as needed,
Oh, I thought it was.
just on things that come up.
Oh, I thought it was a
Yeah.
regular meeting.
Mm-mm. Okay,
Okay, so everyone agrees with the changes?
sounds good.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Yeah. Will you send us out the revised too? Okay,
I
thank you.
will, tomorrow.
Perfect, thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item 8C. This is the discussion and adoption of proposed 2022 City Council meeting schedule. And Erica, this must be you.
Thank you. So we are requesting tonight, City Council review and adopt the proposed 2022, it should say there. I apologize for my typo. And so we have 19 meetings scheduled, and we're traditionally leaving the dark months, which is June, July, November, and December. During the pandemic, City Council decided to go to 1 meeting a month, and staff is recommending that we continue our regular schedule, which is 2 meetings each month, the second and the fourth Tuesday of each month. So I'm here just to request approval for the proposed calendar that was provided.
Any comments?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move right on here. We're going to go to item number 8D, and this is City Council discussion of whether to open the Rio Vista Park Detention Basin from October to April when the basin is currently closed. I'm going to turn that over to staff.
Thank you. I'm going to do a short, brief PowerPoint for you guys tonight. Do you have the clicker? You can go ahead and move it forward. As you're aware, we have a retention basin and detention basin over at Rio Vista Park. It is not a park area, it's not a dog park. On April 13th of this past year, City Council decided to keep the park basin closed per city policy. One of the reasons why we did that was due to some recommendations from our CGPIAs, our insurance carrier. From a liability standpoint, because we had already had the park closed prior to it opening, they recommended us to keep it closed during the quote-unquote rainy months, which would be closed from October through April, and then we'd open the basin up from May through September for people to use. Again, a number of reasons why. Injuries to members of the public, minimize our liability. Also, during the wet season, it can tear up the grass significantly. And again, just to make sure that we do make sure that is locked, that we have limited staff, and sometimes they overlook some of the little things when we're out there trying to get stuff done, especially in the wintertime. If there's a water main break or a leak within that needs to be done, or another event going on, to go out there and lock 7 gates, we may miss 1 or 2. That's what we would encourage to keep it as is at this point in time. We were able to take a couple of pictures out there for you. This is the sign that was developed both in English and Spanish, letting you know when the park is open and when it's closed. This is 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks back on November 19th. There was no rain that came out at all. And you can see the smaller of the 2 ponds had water still in it, and then the main area had water sitting in there as well. Actually, I believe it was Kevin and I were out there, and someone was running around there, and the dog was splashing up water all over the place. So we took pictures of it. We were surprised that, number one, the gate was open, and we ended up locking it right away. They ended up leaving. Very, very nice, very polite person. But we were amazed that there was water in there when we had no rain whatsoever. So we were kind of taken aback by that. Here's a picture again from the 19th. This is again the smaller pond. By the 29th, still had water in it. The main retention basin was dry at that point in time. And then this is after the recent rain we had on December 10th. Down there in the area, you can see the water in that area. And then we have one more picture from today. We have ducks in it now. There are some egrets out there. It was actually pretty deep. I was surprised. But this area was all underwater, and then the smaller pond was probably about 5 feet deep, I would say, at that point in time. So, we got a little bit of water this last rain, and this really filled up. Just kind of show you what's out there. From staff's recommendation is still to keep it closed during the rainy season, if you will. It's, main reason, it's not a park, it's not a dog park. I know people are using it in that direction, however, it's not a dog park. It is a retention basin, a detention basin, and that's why we have the signs there, why it's recommended to be closed. These are all over the state of California. They open them up during summertime for people to use and then close them down during the wintertime. So it's staff's recommendation and the insurance agent's, CGPIA's recommendation to keep it closed as it has been. But obviously we'll follow City Council's lead on this. Thank you.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I was going to start out by saying we heard about this in April, and we came to a 4-1 vote at that point that we should remain closed. I don't see as anything's changed since that time. This was not meant to be used as a dog park to begin with. It was meant to be used as a detention basin. I would stay with recommendation that we keep it closed, and for liability for every issue that the city's brought up.
Well, I was the one that asked that we put it back on the agenda. Dave, when I went by today, there was also an egret in the water. Didn't have a fish in its mouth, but there was an egret there.
The fish are
I understand totally, exactly, that when there's water there in any context, there should not be anyone there. There's no question. And if you know that there's rain coming, I think it should always be closed. I think that if I remember correctly, the insurance person said that he would work to make sure that that he would help us if someone did sue if we opened it. But because of the past practice, that would be a little bit difficult. That's, I think, what he said. He didn't say we shouldn't do it. He just said it would be difficult. Liability is always on our back. That's just part of what we have to deal with. I think the biggest liability for that area is the hills, the gates from the sidewalks all come down to sloping, and I have artificial hips, knees, and an ankle, and so it's a challenge for me to go down that hill when it's open. Also, in case you don't know, when it's open, it's not really unlocked. The outside lock is locked. So in order to get in, you have to reach inside and open it from the inside. And to me, that seems inappropriate because you're encouraging people to go into an area that's locked. And so I don't want to encourage people to go into some place that they're not supposed to be. As far as having it available for people, it isn't just for dogs. I've seen people play volleyball there, play football there, play soccer there. It's a large space. The park itself is lovely, but often there's more water in the park than there is in the dog park or the catch basin because they tend to overwater. And even though I know they're trying to correct it, there still is often puddles of water in the park itself, whereas the other area is dry. And yeah, it does damage the grass. There's no question about that. But I think we could easily have it so that if you know, like there's supposed to be rain again next week, hallelujah. I'm excited about that. And so of course it needs to be closed for 3, maybe even 4 weeks to recover from that. And so we need to keep it closed, but I would suggest at the times when there is no rain, if they don't see any water there, then people should be allowed to go in. As far as staff, the person at every park opens and closes the bathroom. And all that person would have to do is peek over and see if there's any water there, just as they should see if there are lights out. Or one time I went down there, because that park is close, and so I often go there. and a man was fixing the water faucet from the city. And so clearly people are taking care of that park, and it's a well-used park. So I would suggest that we still look to see when we could keep it open so that when we go through long periods of rain, without rain, which is unfortunately happening. And I don't know if you know that in the newspaper, it said that Ventura County is the fastest warming county in the country, which means we're not going to have as many days of rain. So I would suggest that we go ahead and keep it open and make sure that it's safe and that people are aware that they need to stay out if there's any water, and that the staff lock both parts of the gate, the inside and the outside, during that time. And the time that people can go in, I would suggest we not allow access from the roads, even in the time now, in the summer when people are allowed to go in, not allow access from the walking paths, sidewalks. It should be the main gate down below by the basketball courts, because that's flat and no one can fall. Liability, I think we have a higher liability with those hills than we do in any other way, the slope that goes down, and there's no access through their official access. So those are my issues.
Any other comments?
Well, I've thought about this a lot because I live close to there, and I walk and run by it quite a bit, and I've been on the fence about it. One issue that I learned is that it's not designated as a dog park, and that's a big issue. And I think one of the reasons why people take their dogs there is because the state of Rio Vista at this time is not adequate for. It's just a bunch of dirt. I wouldn't take my dogs there. And so the grassy knoll is what appeals to people. I think for me, to Dave's point, the November 12th photo, that there had been no rain, or maybe there was rain like a week before or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it fills up really quickly. Is that correct? I mean, is that, because you said that the November 12th there hadn't been any rain. So I actually went ahead and did some research, and I looked at the average rainfall of Fillmore because I'm a bit of a nerd, and I realized that December it starts to really rain, so that's when the spike goes up much higher, and it starts to decline in April. So my thought is possibly could we make a happy medium and shave off a couple of months and leave, because it was really hot up until like 3 weeks ago, right? And we could let them use it for a couple of months more. Maybe we do from December to April it's closed, which I think is really reasonable because it's winter time, right? And it's cold out anyway. So we close it for a shorter amount of time. And then if it rains outside of that time period, people know the weather. They know what's coming. We knew that the event was going to be today, that we have that person be on alert. And so it's not on alert 24/7, but it's on alert for a shorter amount of time. So it's really kind of splitting a happy medium, because I I have 2 dogs, and when these 2 women spoke last week, I want some place to take them. So that's my suggestion is maybe doing a happy medium there where we close it from December to April, maybe a shorter amount of time, rather than close the whole time, and then just have someone check in when it's going to rain. So,
anyone else?
Is that a motion to that effect?
Okay, wait just a minute. Let's let everybody say their piece, though.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the photos, David. I'm hoping that those who are watching or who watch the video and will see that, and they probably have if they've stopped by and seen it. I agree with Simone in that people are using it because we need to fix up our dog park that we actually have. Lynn, about the ability for a city staffer to go, true, but again, as we say, it can look like there's no water there, but there could definitely be water and mushiness and all that a city staffer just says, oh, looks, I just see grass, it's fine. And then, and then something happens. So I'm actually more on the side of not doing the idea of if it looks like it's going to be dry, especially with the way our weather is going. We could have the end of December be super hot and then a rainstorm come the first week of January. It's just too iffy. So I'm about keeping it closed for a certain amount of time. My question is October included in the close off or not? Like basically, is the park closed September 30th and nothing in October? My suggestion would be one more month. My suggestion would be close it November 1st to March 31st. Is that right? And it's open April 1st? Okay, that's my suggestion, is one more month. Yeah, and as of November 1st, it's closed.
So for me, there's a couple things. I'm super sensitive about standing water that you cannot see. This park, it's deep down there. I was by there on my bike on Sunday, and there was a lot of puddles, lots of standing water at the bottom. Lynn, you're right. The hills are steep, and not only is the potential for drowning for a child, it's a major concern. I have friends who live right across the street from that park, and they lost a child from a drowning. I don't want the city to have that on us. I mean, it's just too easy for that to happen. We've been warned by JPIA. We've been told, we know what can happen. I don't want somebody falling and breaking a hip. I am the worst. I mean, I am the biggest klutz on the face of the earth, right? So I can see myself going through that fence, tripping and breaking my shoulder again. It's too easy to have problems. I'm on the same path as Simone, you and Christina. I'm willing to say leave it open through October. Typically, October is hot and dry. It is not a dog park. I wish I could say our dog park looked like that. It is my dream to have our dog park look like that. And whatever we need to do, we need to make it happen, because everybody has publicly spoken out about that. I want to take my dog to the dog park. I want to take my dog to that park. But, it's something that we need to address. But this is not intended for that. This is a catch basin. We see the elements of that today. So based on our conversations here, I too am open to saying we close it November to April. And if we get rain in October or freak something, then city staff just needs to be on top of it. So that's where I'm heading with that. I will entertain motions at this point.
Dave, does that mean we have to change the signs then? Okay.
Yeah, it'll be about.
We just put tape over.
It'll be about $1,600.
Do we have that?
Can we also, since we have to do that, change the locks so that they're not one-way locks? Or how
I guess now we're asking more expense.
I think that's done for safety.
Well,
is there a way around that? I guess let me just ask that before we get into the expense part.
Let me keep my city manager hat on here.
Can we? Okay, so here's a cheap example. Can we chain them?
They are chained right now.
No, I know. Yeah, but if it's I guess it's chained when they're not supposed to be open. But the one-way locks are kind of weird.
Yeah, we can unlock them. We can go and do that and unlock them. I believe they will be unlocked.
Okay.
But people can get in the back, because that's where they were. The backside was open in years past. One thing you may want to think about, we can take care of all this. This rain right here is going to keep this thing closed till at least January, minimum January, just by the water usage out there. We may want to just take a look at this before we start spending money on this, and get us to take a look at our dog park. Come back at that with our next budget cycle. And if we want to we have money in the Two Rivers Fund. We're applying for 2 grants that can be addressed for the park at that point in time for the dog park. I think that is what is the real key with this whole discussion. Because then, this is, again, one of these questions that we start going down this path is, okay, right now, dogs are not allowed to run freely in parks. So now we are acknowledging that this being a dog park, if you will, an area for dogs to go run in off a leash. Do we then are going to have our police department respond to calls out there to go after a dog who's not a dog park? these are the little things that the city manager has to come on saying, okay, why in the city, my dog, I got bit by this dog. Why didn't the city, just isn't supposed to be open? And people say, well, control your dogs. Well, I know a member of my family who had their dog on their hip with my 74-year-old mother, and 2 German Shepherds came flying at her and her dog, and she got dragged because she was trying to hold our dog back. The dog was not supposed to be off leash. So those are things I'm worried about if we kind of go down that path. But whatever city council wants to do, we will do. I just want to let you know some of the concerns that we have from staff if we start opening this up the way we're talking about doing it when it's been closed over the past. That's all.
So if that's the case, then why do we let it be used as a dog park anyway?
We haven't. People have just been doing it on their own, and we've never really been down there enforcing it because it's not a dog park, and people have been down there. And it's one of the things that we keep talking about. At what point in time do we need to step in as a city and say, hey, hold on a second. A lot of people down there by themselves, or people with groups of people down there. And again, it's not every park that goes along, but now people are talking about this as a dog park. It's one thing that you go to Two Rivers Park, dogs off a leash out there. We're not calling that a dog park. The city's not calling it a dog park, but it's being vocalized as a dog park within the city.
Do we have no dogs off leash signs on the fence?
No.
We may want to do that. I mean,
That's what I was going to say.
think that we need to kind of protect ourselves from that.
We should designate that this is not a dog park because, people, especially even people coming in and making public comments about, this is a dog park. Well, it was news to me that it's not officially a dog park, I mean, it's, and you're right. I mean, we're talking about it right now as a city council, as a governing body, that it's a dog park, and it's not.
It's not a dog park.
And that's a hard deal. I mean, I've been in dog biting situations too, and things like that. And, it's actually us protecting our constituents by, making some of these decisions, not being, irresponsible. Again, like I said, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about this. If we can, designate that it's not a dog park, so people know, right? And, Rio Vista, the Two Rivers is a different situation, but we do need to, obviously the cry is that there would be a dog park for dogs. So, I don't know, I'm on the fence here, guys.
Well, I think, basically by us having this decision and this discussion, what we are talking about is leaving we have to bring it back to what it is, right? We're talking about the dates for leaving the park open for public use. We are not designating this a dog park. We're not saying it's okay to take your dog there. It's not. It's not okay to have your dog off leash anywhere in town. It's just not. I think if we do move forward with changing the dates of closing this so kids can play ball, people can walk, they can do whatever they want to do, their dogs can't be off leash, and we need to post signs, and our discussion has more to do with having available space open for public use for maybe an additional month, whatever it happens to be. But other than that, my direction is to keep it closed through April. I don't want to leave it open through January and hope that maybe there's not going to be rain and we open it. We have to have hard dates. We know we're a city, we're people, we have lots of work to do, and I don't want to just sort of keep this, well, if it's good, it's good, if it's not, there's no water. We can't do that. We can't govern that way. It's too loosey-goosey for me.
So are you saying open till November 1st till the end of April?
That's what my recommendation would be. If you were to ask me right now, and closed the rest of the time. And I think that we need to put up signs, no dog off leash. This is not a dog park. I think we need to protect ourselves. Yeah. We've been told by JPIA what our requirements are.
That's my main concerns. Is we have closed it continuously since we've had it. Now we're going to open it up and we expose ourselves. Just that additional month, we expose ourselves.
I think the bigger exposure is the slopes. I really do think that, and I think that those gates should be kept closed and locked.
Well,
And everybody should have,
Keep it closed.
no, everybody should have the access to go through that time when it's open, through the double gates by the basketball court, because it's flat and there's less likelihood that someone will fall. Those are my suggestions from a tipsy old lady, the falls. So, did you make the motion?
I haven't made a motion.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
No, we've talked about different.
We've talked about different
scenarios.
So I like Diane's. I think adding 1 month is good. And if we were to go
So we go November 1st to
through April.
through April 30th.
Right.
30th.
Right, and that it's an open use
And
park
leave it
during
a
that
month.
time.
And then we post no dogs off leashes signs on the fences.
Is that a motion, Mark?
Yes, that's a motion.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Just one quick question.
Yes.
Want us to go ahead and just move forward, get the new signs, the other signs without having to come back?
Mhm.
Just get it
Yeah.
done?
Yes.
Just get them done.
Thank you. We'll do it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was a good discussion. Okay, so with that, we are going to move on to item number 8E. This is the 7th amendment to the agreement for 341 A Street, and I'll turn this over to staff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Sorry, and Santa.
He's peeking.
Right.
He's watching you.
The building located at 341 A Street is originally used as a packing plant, and through time has been used as a storage building. The previous property owner brought in businesses inside there that weren't permitted, and they didn't get building permits or anything like that. And it came to the city's attention, and we enforced the codes on it, building codes and the zoning code. A new property owner acquired the property, and the city entered an agreement with that property owner, which pretty much says you have to handle both issues, the building code and the planning code. And for the building code, all health and safety items need to be done. The existing businesses can remain, but no new businesses. And then later, your planning permit of what you plan to do to that building would need to be done. We started that agreement in 2019, and this current property owner has been making lots of progress since that time. We've been making extensions. We're on our 7th extension, but the project is making progress. We're slowed down at this time because of COVID, number one, and number two, this is an older building, and during the construction of the ADA path of travel and bathroom improvements, we discovered other things that need to occur structurally. For instance, there's a basement close to Banderos place that we didn't know before. We didn't know it extended. So we needed to draw new engineering plans. They had to be plan checked and everything like that. So we're going to continue to come across those types of things because this is a very old building. The deadline is tomorrow, so the city staff is requesting an extension. So this isn't coming from the applicant or the property owner, it's staff who's asking it, that we extend the deadline to June. And we're also asking that we extend the deadline for the planning permit until June as well. The applicant is trying to figure out how to use the building. He originally wanted artist studios and apartment complexes and things like that in there, and he's starting to change his mind and keep it industrial, but he's not certain, and it's all dependent on these health and safety issues. So it might change, but he's not adding new businesses. He's sticking with the businesses he has today. So city staff is asking to extend the agreement number 7th to June 22nd, 2022. I'm available for any questions you might have.
Any questions for staff? Okay.
Is this going to be his last time?
No. No,
I'm just
you know,
asking.
the last time we did this, you guys asked me to extend it for 1 year.
Right.
Because you knew we would be at this stage. But I'd like to be, we didn't have this, you know, it's a procrastination technique. If we keep it a year, 2 years, or 3 years.
Progress on it. I mean, you can see the outside, the exterior. I mean, he's.
Yeah.
So can I ask what to clarify what exactly he's using it for? I mean, I know I've been through there, but I'd like a clear explanation.
It's a 2-story building.
Mm-hmm.
The first floor is used as storage for movie sets, automobiles, and RV remodeling. And the basement is used as some woodworking, some storage, and the rest of it's all vacant. No new businesses are supposed to be there.
So are people renting it out for renting their space for their vehicles and things of that nature from him?
Yes.
Okay.
And none of those have permits to be there. We're monitoring it all the time. We're doing inspections all the time. They're allowed to be there. No customers are coming in. Nobody really gathering. And if there is such a thing, he has done those things in the past. He's received permits from the city to do those things.
Okay.
Forever ago, it used to be Fields Aircraft Service.
Yeah.
That was many, many years ago. I actually appraised that building probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah, he's done so much work, you know, earthquake retrofitting, fire sprinklers, ingress. So the improvements you're going to see today, probably in about 6 months when it's complete, is he's going to have 3 new entrances that are very contemporary and designed for an old-looking building.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other discussion? Any motions?
I move to approve the 7th Amendment.
I'll second it.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 8F. This is the settlement of litigation against certain distributors and manufacturers of opioids. I'm going to turn that over to staff.
I'm presenting this item. Can you guys hear me with the mask?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, this item relates to litigation that various cities, counties, and states have been engaged in with different distributors and manufacturers of opioids. Specific to this case, the distributors are McKesson, Cardinal Health, and AmerisourceBergen, and the manufacturers are Janssen and Johnson & Johnson. So this litigation has been ongoing for a number of years. It relates to the ways that the opioids were distributed and manufactured that led to the current epidemic of opioid abuse in the United States. So these settlements only apply to the United States, and these are not all the distributors and manufacturers. These are just some of them. But with respect to the agreements before you tonight, there are tentative settlement agreements and then also agreements with the state for how the monies would be used. And they all require critical mass of the cities and counties and states to settle. And the settlement amounts will depend on the number of agencies that actually approve them. So it's not clear exactly how the math is all going to work. But tentatively, the manufacturers would pay $5 billion over 9 years, and the distributors would pay $21 billion over 15 years. So that would be up to $26 billion. And the way the funds are distributed is based on the opioid use disorder in the area, the opioid deaths in the area, and the opioid use. And so they look at things like pharmacy records and coroner records and different medical records. So some states, the numbers are much higher than other states. So even though so many people live in California, where California as a whole is getting a much less than many other states. And then smaller cities like Fillmore are getting even less, because fortunately that means, based on the statistics they have, we haven't had the impacts like other areas have. So it's anticipated that if critical mass approves these agreements and it's as many people as possible approve them, that Fillmore would receive approximately $39,000, and that's over the 18 years. So the way it's structured right now, the money will go to the counties unless the cities ask that the money come directly to the cities, because our number would be so low and we wouldn't be able to do productive programs with it, because they're very specific programs that you're allowed to spend the money on to help prevent opioid abuse and help treat people that are still suffering from opioid addiction. It's recommended that we allow any money, if you decide to settle, to go to the county, and the county has agreed that it will enact programs countywide that would help residents of Fillmore as well. Okay. So tonight before you, there are these 4 agreements, and as well as a resolution that would authorize Dave or his designee to execute these contracts. There is only a 60-day window to approve these agreements, and so January 2nd, 2022 is the deadline for everything to be signed and turned in for the city to be part of the settlement. Please let me know if you've had any questions.
Any questions for staff? Tiffany, do these need to be read separately, or is one motion acceptable for all of it?
Since these are agreements, one motion can take them all.
Okay, so any discussion? Motions?
I do want to just say that I was in Kansas, I think 4 or 5 years ago. My daughter lives there, and we went out to dinner, and every single person in that restaurant, as well as the waitress, had signs of opioid addiction. I was shocked. So I think middle states have a much higher percentage of opioid addiction. At least that area certainly did. I was very surprised. So
well,
I think we're very proud that we don't have to have the numbers, the percentages that other people have.
I just want to say that I think this is really good that they have to take accountability for this, because it's really hard to track some of the, what happened is they weren't able to get the prescriptions anymore, so they turned to heroin and fentanyl. So they can't even track the people who are now addicted to heroin and fentanyl, and then the people who've died from fentanyl. So this, I just want to say that this is great, and I hope that it helps Ventura County, and hopefully it doesn't really come to our door. Yeah.
I just want to make a comment echoing that. And I worked in tobacco control for many years, working for LA County Department of Public Health, and the master settlement agreement of all the tobacco companies was huge. It still is. It has changed the norm of tobacco use, where my daughter has never really seen anyone smoke a cigarette, much less like in a public place. Mm-hmm. And it's the hope that with all of these billions of dollars that could say the same about opioid at some point. Mm-hmm. So I agree with it.
So I'll make the motion to approve.
Perfect. To have a motion. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8G. This is the report regarding emergency repairs for well number 8, and a request that the City Council determine that the emergency has ended. I'll turn that over to staff.
Thank you. So I'm here today, as we have discussed. You've seen me since September 14th providing updates on declaring the emergency, and then on October 12th, November 9th, I provided updates of what the contractor had done. I am pleased to inform you that as of November 17th, the well has been up online. The contractor completed the work on November 15th, and then all the water samples that were collected by staff came back within compliance. So I am here to request City Council to determine that the emergency has ended and to adopt Resolution 21-3854. I am here to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions for staff?
Okay, I move to approve, adopt a resolution 21-3854.
I'll second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8H. This is approved acceptance of Fema grant for medical cardiac monitors and automated external defibrillators. I'll let you say it.
Defibs.
There you go.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and city staff. I come to you tonight to request approval of acceptance of a FEMA grant for cardiac monitors and for automated external defibrillators. The background for this is routinely, annually, the fire services of the County of Ventura get together and we apply for mutually beneficial equipment and or supplies for all the fire agencies. Excuse me, last year we put in for this grant with Fillmore being the lead for this. We basically felt that we had the most need per capita based upon we only having one defib. If that defib has ever been out of service, we've had to go to AMR ambulance and ask to borrow theirs until ours was fixed. Because it is such a high dollar value item and high, there's a large need for it in order for us to provide paramedic services. We do have an extended warranty contract on this also, so we're able to get quick turnaround when it is out of service. Again, we basically had the highest need. Matter of fact, this is a regional grant. We were the lead on it, but we pretty much had per capita the lion's share of it. We have about 20% that was awarded to us of this grant. The grant in total is for $750,000. Our share is $150,000. Within that request, it's for three of the cardiac heart monitors. The three would be one primary on our regular engine. The second one would go on our rescue, and then the third one would be in reserve status. Why two? Why one on the rescue and one on the engine? We often have multiple paramedics that are working for the day. Because of our paramedic program where we have the reserve paramedics, oftentimes we have a couple that are working or on high wind days, we'll staff extra pieces of equipment and or the 4th of July. It's not uncommon for us in the city of Fillmore to have back-to-back calls. In fact, it's not uncommon for us to routinely, within a 3-month period, have 3 or even 4. There was a day that I've been here, we've already had 6. And it was kind of funny when we had, not funny, but it's ironic, that we had 3 chiefs that were all on a full arrest CPR call. So we were able to get a save out of that one, I believe. But anyways, that's besides the point. That we have the need for multiple cardiac monitors. The defibrillators, we're requesting 7 of those, which we were granted. Those are to replace outdated ones that we have on our chief's vehicles, and because of our use of the facilities for EOCs and disaster support, we will also be upgrading the ones at the Active Adult Center here and at the Memorial Building. We already have upgraded the one at the pool, I believe, last year. So, and those are maintained by the fire department. So this request, again, is part of a regional grant. We definitely have a need, and we'll be able to take advantage of our expanded service when we have multiple paramedics that are working. It also allows our engines, when they go out on strike teams, to be able to retain their paramedic capability. So I'm available for any questions.
Any questions?
I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you bet.
For really working to get these services for us. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. And since this is a public presentation, I do definitely have to give kudos to all the other fire agencies that are in the county. We really work well together, especially on these grant requests, and we have a lot of help in establishing these grants and writing these grants from our other agencies. So.
And Keith, I kind of just want to thank you for that too, because I know a lot of those relationships have just come from you knowing people and reaching out, and it helps our community tremendously. So thank you for that too.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, anything we can do to help our first responders is the most important, really, especially in these times, after the pandemic and the fires and all of these things. So I'm just excited to get you what you need.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I will make the motion.
Very good. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 8I. This is the introductory report on the development impact fee and expenses. I'll turn that over to staff.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, and congratulations on your new positions, all of you.
Yeah, all of us.
Including former mayor. The introductory or the development impact fee report is one that is it's due by the state or by state law, and it's an annual requirement. So we're in the process of getting it completed, and I believe we're on target for the completing it by the end of the year, which is the 180-day requirement. The report becomes the basis for rolling over div collections that have not been spent 5 years back. So you got to look back 5 years from the end of the last fiscal year, and there's a calculation of the fund balance. We have to look at what has not been spent, and so that report becomes the basis for the request that will come before you, excuse me, in January. So it's basically a comprehensive compilation of all the div fees that have been approved by the council. The most recent update was in 2019. And so it'll cover historically all the activity of the div fees. The categories that are included are, there's 5 public facility categories. The fire substation in the Bridges subdivision. There's a general city facilities category also. And then there's a citywide fire fee that's being collected, a citywide police, and citywide public works. So those are the public facility development fees that will be in the report. There's 5 other categories that are infrastructure items. Those are transportation, parks, potable water, sanitary sewer, and storm drains. And then we also collect a library fee, but that's county. The county approved that, so we turn it over to the county, and they report the library div fee. So again, this is a state law requirement. It's AB 1600 that was enacted in 1987, and then every 5 years you should be doing the report. But I believe there's been some changes to that, and over the years it's really become a 1-year report that's required, but you have to look at that 5-year period. So it's like a rolling, I think, report that we need to establish here, that every year we do it and look back on that rolling 5-year period. So that pretty much concludes my report, and it'll be in the agenda at the next meeting.
Any questions for staff?
Okay. Thank you. I do have, excuse me, I do have one question. Thank you. And it's about public works. Sorry, it's about public works and transportation, and just kind of understanding the difference between the two. Is there any? It's a question, I guess, about development impact fees in general. Is there? Do you know is it per project that it's determined that this is a transportation related impact fee as opposed to public works, which seems to cover transportation too? Is my question making sense?
The transportation, so there's the study that involves evaluating what the needs of the city, the development that has come into the city.
Okay.
Will generate, the requirement of what capital facilities.
Okay.
For the transportation, the study includes analysis of they call it trip demands.
Okay.
And so it's like it's like if you need to go to the store or like because of the development, say that you residents of the development require so many trips to the grocery store.
Okay.
So what type of facility are you going to need to
facilitate that to happen?
to make that
Okay.
happen?
That helps to explain.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it could be a bike path, it could be a sidewalk, could be a street, so those things come into the picture in the study, and then it's all factored on a per dwelling need in the future, and so there's a cost to that per dwelling based on the cost associated with the development of those facilities.
Got it.
So if I could add to that.
Okay.
So for each category of diff, there's a specific list of projects that staff came up with and council approved, and then the costs of those were divided over projected future development to come up with the cost for new development, so that there will be money collected to eventually build those things.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's helpful. Thank you.
Just one more point. The study that was part of that supported the approval of the 219 update is for facilities up to 2040. So you have a lot of
planning.
A lot
there.
of facilities there.
So I have a couple questions. In reading the staff report, and I've never actually read it this way, I mean, I know this has come before council before, but basically we have to give an accounting for what we have not spent, because obviously we're a smaller city, so we kind of accumulate a lot of things because we need more because we're little, so it's little amounts.
Right.
The staff report says that we must make specific findings to allow the agency to retain the funds. Are we ever in jeopardy of losing these funds if we don't spend them at some point, and how do we determine that?
We try not to answer that in public, but yes, you are. If you don't spend them and you don't do these reports to show why you haven't spent them, developers can ask for it to come back.
That we're not in jeopardy of losing this money. I never realized that before until I read that line. I'm like, wait a minute here. I never knew that.
Sure. And I think that's why it's important to get it on an annual basis. You almost have to treat it like your budget every year for
Right.
those long-term items.
And you're watching this every year. You have it on your calendar.
And you have to be
come up.
watching it.
Yeah. You got to make sure and not forget it.
It's kind of like a separate budget based on the collection of those fees only.
Okay.
So.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I was just going to make one more comment too. I think it rounds up to something we mentioned in a previous council meeting, was being on top of those state required reports, and deadlines to make sure we don't turn any money back. Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? Any motions?
I think it was just a receive item.
Or was it receive and file? Yep. Okay. So we're going to receive and file that. Thank you. That was helpful. Tiffany, thank you for answering that. Okay. So we're going to move on to item number 9. This is committee, commission, and board reports. So whoever wants to jump in. Okay.
As council members?
No? Okay, so I have a couple things here to just report. So I attended the Ventura County Animal Control Board meeting. We did a Brown Act refresher by the county council, which was very at length. Really helpful just to kind of get back in your head, where you're supposed to be. We all know that, but to hear it was very detailed, so it was really helpful. The other thing that came out of that meeting, which was of concern to me, and I just want to put this out there, just mostly for Dave to keep track of. So basically, what happened, what came out of this, they were talking and they said, yeah, we have this $25 to $30 million in new facilities that we're going to be building, and all these new facilities that they're talking about and whatnot. And that kind of piqued my attention real quick, and I quickly jumped in as fast as I could. Obviously, the cities are going to be a part of those funds. That came out of the meeting, that each of the cities are going to have a proportionate share of this new $30 million worth of facilities they're talking about constructing within the county. So my question was, how much time are you going to give us cities ahead of time to know that this is coming down the pike? It's a lot of money. And, he was very quick to say, we understand. We're to give you a few years to jump in and, be involved in this. So I want to just let everybody know that, for one, the fees that we pay to the Ventura County Animal Control are very high, and we have no control over a lot of these things. We do know about it because we get the budget, during our own budget time, so we have an idea. But there is potentially a lot of expense coming our way, and it's just something that we need to really be aware of. And Dave and I had come up with a couple of ideas before that could possibly help sustain and bring back some of our funding to the city. I don't know if any of that's ever going to work. But it is something that we have to watch out for, and it's going to be something that could really bite us in the backside if we're not careful. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up, and I think you guys probably talk about that at the managers meeting is one of the things that came out of that. So I just wanted to report that back out because that is important. So, okay, anyone else? Oh, sorry, I had one more thing. Sorry, I got stuck on that. So last Saturday was our Christmas parade here in town. I unfortunately missed that. I was very sad to miss that. But what I did attend is an event. It's called Shop with a Cop. It's put on by the Ventura County, help me out, Sheriff's Foundation. I know this. I was on the foundation for I don't know how long, and I can't think of the name. So the Ventura County Sheriff's Foundation, every year they put on an event. It's called Shop with a Cop. We go forward, we do a lot of fundraising, and they identify children within each of the cities that is a contracted city with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, and they identify children that are some of the most needy in the community. This year, and this is a first time ever, there was, I think, 600 kids or 400 kids that went through. It was a lot of kids. 75 of those children came from Fillmore, and it has never happened that way before. But a lot of the other contracted cities just said, yeah, we'll give you 20 kids, but they didn't want more. There were spaces for more children, but the cities just didn't want to be involved. So all those came back to the city of Fillmore. So we had 75 children and their families who were just truly blessed by this event. What happens is each of the children is given an allotment of $200. They go in with an officer. This year we had to pair multiple children with an officer. It was really fun to watch. They were amazing. They go in with an officer. We selected Target this year, and the officers help them spend that $200. And the kids go in and they buy Christmas presents, possibly something for themselves, for their family. However the children want to spend that $200, it's all taken care of. And and the officers shop with them, and they help them pick it out, and it was an absolute madhouse, and it was the most amazing event. It was just such a blessing to watch. And a lot of the other agencies came and also participated. Santa Paula was there. We had some officers from Oxnard. Cracker Barrel gave each of the kids breakfast and their families breakfast. They brought milk. They were given backpacks and goodie bags. They were given wrapping paper. The event is just unbelievable, and it's such a good event. And just to watch the things that the children purchase it's very touching, because a lot of the kids don't shop for themselves, or they'll buy shoes, they buy socks, they buy underwear. There was kids coming out with groceries, and it's heartbreaking. It's like, we have so much that we forget about.
Yeah.
So, anyways, sorry. But it's an amazing event, and we actually worked really closely with Boys and Girls Club this year, and Boys and Girls Club came. Buddy, he brought 2 vans. He brought a lot of the children. It was a real blessing for Fillmore. So I just wanted to share that, because we don't always get the good news, but it was great news. So, yep, that's it. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I want to just mention quickly, Mr. Haig, public comment has ended, but you are absolutely welcome to come back to us on January 11th, and we'd love.
It's going to be far too late. This is a great debt. This will be a great detriment to the city of Fillmore, and it is extremely important that you hear this.
Okay, so
this city has to respond to the county over it.
Okay, so sir, I'm going to allow you 3 minutes. If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Haig has a comment, public comment for 3 minutes. I'll allow you to come forward for 3 minutes and speak. Yes, I'll ask you to come up right now, please.
And I apologize because this did not come to my attention until after 7 o'clock this evening.
Okay, so the green light will go on when you're ready. When you have 1 minute left,
I'm ready.
Light. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. There was a story that appeared in the Star Free Press today in regard to a company referred to as the Sierra Pacific Railroad that is seeking a 35-year lease for the rail line here. And their intended use for this is for freight operations and for rail car storage. Well, the fact of the matter is there's very, very little business in freight operations here. There are less than a handful of companies, probably 3 or 4, that would utilize that. And they're currently being served right now on the line by Union Pacific. So why is this a bad thing for Fillmore? Well, for those who may remember this, back in the late 1970s and the early 1980s, the Southern Pacific Railroad, which was throughout California and owned that line, used this line for rail car storage, much to the detriment of people in this valley. There were rail cars standing still on the line from the east side of Fillmore all the way out to Pyro and beyond to Santa Clarita that didn't move. Now, Sierra has said that they're going to use this for freight, and also there's another company named Mendocino that may run a dinner train, possibly. Well, that most likely is not going to happen. So what's going to happen if they get this rail lease? Well, the tracks now only go out as far as Pyro. This yard out here that we have will be packed full of railroad cars and storage. They will be tankers. They will be auto carriers. They will be some boxcars, gondolas, and they're going to just sit there. And the stuff isn't pretty. It is filled with it. Those rail cars are filled mostly with graffiti. You are going to ruin this. This town will be ruined if that comes through. This park that we have here is going to look exactly like a slum. So this is of extreme concern. Now, the Ventura Board of Supervisors was going to pass this at their last meeting. until a man who was involved with the railroad here notified them that there is a law that says that they could procure land by eminent domain. Well, they have no intention of doing that, but they certainly have an intention of storing cars here that is going to make this city look just absolutely awful. And it's hardly in the public interest, because they're going to pay, this county, the people are going to pay $450,000 a year to maintain the track. Why?
Mr. Hague, your time's up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to City Council reports, recommendations, and comments.
I was going to say, Lynn, can you address some of this, because I know that it was a VCTC meeting. It wasn't the Board of Supervisors. It was the VCTC.
It's VCTC, and it is now a confidential.
Right.
It's not something that I can share.
Right.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean we won't get a train. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of this we can't comment on.
No, can't say a word.
Right.
Okay.
He left. We couldn't tell him that.
No.
Okay.
I'm glad he left.
Okay, so City Council reports, recommendations, and comments.
I have a couple of things. The Christmas giveaway was just wonderful. It was very well organized, lots of volunteers. There were 860 people signed up, wow. And there were probably another 100 that came through. Everybody got toys. People that didn't sign up, and that is my recommendation for the future. It was so well organized, and kids were so happy, and the families were appreciative. It was so many thank yous. It was lovely, really lovely, and kids smiling. But several people told me, well, they're probably, I would say 99% were Spanish speaking, maybe 98%. And many of them have computers at home because their kids get them from school, but the parents don't have a clue how to use them, and so they couldn't sign up. And if they could sign up using it, they didn't know how to get the translation device, and so they couldn't figure it out because it's in Spanish, it's in English only. So they're asking if the city next year could have maybe an evening or a Saturday, couple of hours, kind of like you do for sign up for basketball or something, where someone's here to help people who want to register for the toy giveaway, because there were quite a few kids that didn't get a toy because they didn't sign up. So that's just, but it was a lovely event, and kudos to the Park and Recreation Department and to the committee, because it was well done, really well done. Thank you, both of you. I would like to ask to have 2 community conversations. One of them was on Ken Creason's comments. He said come to El Dorado, but I also didn't have electricity for the whole time. In fact, I stored my freezing. Did you not? Yeah, you didn't either. Yeah. And I called Simone because I knew she had it, and I put some of my freezer stuff in her freezer. Yeah. But a lot of people have questions. It wasn't just from El Dorado. I'm sure you guys got questions too. Yeah. And I'd like to have a community conversation where people can be heard. If we do it here and someone does a report, there's no time for people to share their stories, and I think they want to share stories. And then listen. After you say what you have to say, then you can listen to what someone else has to say to you. And so I would like to have that. And then the second one was for fire and evacuations. I'd like to have a meeting so that people can hear the summary of Kate's information on the fire department, and at the same time have the evacuation, but also have any fire safety things, if we could. I think I met Kate when they did that presentation here. The fire department did that. And then I would like to also ask if we could have an agenda item for the small businesses in town, so we could see what we could do to help Kevin have more leniency in making decisions about the fees that they're charged, and have that discussion. Does that make sense, what I said?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that discussion. As far as the community conversations, I think the request is pretty broad. I understand where you're going with it. I mean, I would like to have some answers from Edison, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know that we're in a position to bring the public in on that. I think us as leaders, we need to kind of.
Well, they could come too.
Well, I think
public.
Edison needs to come and speak. I don't know that, we necessarily want to hear everybody's story in town of how their freezer was out. I understand it's a frustration. I'm not diminishing that, but it's a question that everybody continues to ask, and it's hard for me to answer. It's, it's Edison. I can't do anything about it. It's Edison. But this is becoming more and more of a problem, and it's more and more frequently.
And I called Edison, and I spent an hour and a half on the phone, exactly what Ken Creason said. It goes from a message unit to another message unit to another message unit.
They don't want to
never get
answer. They don't
speak
want
with
to,
anyone.
because everybody's calling. They don't want to answer it.
Dave, could we get Edison to show up? I mean, we've had this representative out here before.
Yeah, I believe we get Edison to come to a city council meeting for sure and talk about the public safety power shutoffs and how that all works.
Yeah.
Have them come out to a community conversation type thing and just to listen to people complain. I'm not too sure they'll show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Hate to put it that way, but I don't know if they would show up there. Reason being, Moore Park was out, Agora Hills was out, CB was out, Moore Park was out, part of Thousand Oaks was out, Fillmore was out, Santa Clarita was out, and they're going to say everybody was out.
Yeah.
I think it's the last thing they want to do is shut anybody down on Thanksgiving as well. I have reached out to our contact to see if there's anything that they can do with their lines to put some new lines in there out there. They're hardened in the area right now, but that's the best that we could do right now from where we're at. We can always have them come in here. You guys can ask them questions. This is a big issue.
Yeah.
Be glad you're in Fillmore. You're not in Simi Valley.
Right.
Pretty much every time the wind blows in Simi Valley, the power goes out in the far eastern part of the city, I believe. And that's a continuing issue over there. They've been dealing with Edison for probably almost 2 years now, and nothing has changed.
No resolution, getting nowhere.
But it is interesting. Everyone around El Dorado got electricity, and they didn't. So that's, I think, who knows why.
Right.
Well,
I was going to say, up where you're in my area was all out. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Diane was on.
I was on, but
Well, thanks.
Well, it doesn't make any sense that, literally there's a wall, there's a wall that separates the bridges and the El Dorado, and it's like there was electricity on one side of the wall and there was not electricity on the other side of the wall.
It could be on a different
circuit.
Yeah, and that's what we need to hear from Edison. I mean, I think we need to hear some answers from Edison for our constituents. And I think is it possible, if this is on the agenda, to make it sort of a public, and I don't know what the term for it, but
People can always have public comment.
Well, people can come.
They can
and
come.
Listen. I mean, they're always welcome to come.
And make public comments. I mean, I would encourage that.
Well,
that residents who've reached out to us and written letters, we let them know that that it's going to be discussed.
But here's the thing that, and I'm not discouraging public comment, but I don't want to sit through 2 hours of public comment about my refrigerator wasn't working on Thanksgiving while we're waiting for a presentation from Edison, because public, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want that, because we want some answers.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So we don't want a whipping post.
I think what we could do, I can ask a representative of Edison to come to a meeting, really focus in on what sounds like is how come this area in our community, El Dorado, for example, was turned off while the others around it were left on. They could probably take a look at their system and see what they've done to bypass areas and all that, and have that conversation. And then you guys can also ask additional questions with them as well. What are the various things they have to do to turn off power? What are their regulations, and why are they doing it so often, and everything else, and what they're doing to harden their lines to minimize this. So I will reach out to them tomorrow so we can come to the next meeting. As soon as they can get here, we'll reach out.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's a good plan.
And I just wanted to add to I think the person who made the comment mentioned that no notice. So I think it needs to be included about.
Did you get notice?
Lots of notice.
I did too.
Well,
I got lots of
I
notices
think
too.
most people did. But is there
senior without cell phone, some sort of robocall that goes to a landline that they may have. For those, I guess, without cell, what are the ways that Edison is still reaching out to those who will be affected?
Here's a question that we may not know. Does El Dorado pay electric, or is it paid by the park? Because it goes to the homeowner of the property. If the property out there is one and not each of those is electrically separately metered, those people may not be getting notices.
Right.
And that's way beyond our purview.
Right.
We can't fix that, but
My guess
that's
is,
just a thought.
My guess, because I know there was a complaint that some people wanted to do solar panels and El Dorado wouldn't allow them to do it.
Right, and again,
so it
that's-
sounds like it's electric
Yeah.
that they pay.
Yeah.
And I saw a reason for it because on our street, the wind blew over a tree that went across the power line. So, and they finally, and it was a huge tree, and it ended on the roof of the people next door to me. So,
We should move on because we don't want to be discussing this. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. Okay, other comments, recommendations?
Well, I just want to say that I agree with, I want to, second what Lynn was saying about the small businesses. I think we do need to, City Council needs to sort of address this issue of the challenge of small businesses opening in Fillmore. And I've heard some stories that have, I've heard some stories. I don't know what the accurate information is, but I think we need to look at it because there's clearly Wingstop, Jamba Juice, the grocery. They're all opening with lightning speed, but small businesses are not opening as easily. So, however we can put that onto the agenda at some point here would be great, so that we can take a look at that and see if we can make it easier. And I know Dave and I had a discussion about this, and really trying to tackle what that red tape is. So
You have 3.
we can put that on the agenda at some point.
I support bringing this back for staff to have a report on this.
How about fire and evacuation? We don't want to talk about that?
Can we get through some of these first?
Okay.
Let's tackle a little bit at a time. Let's not overload them, then nothing will get, priority. Okay, anybody else, or I'll move on?
I just want to make one quick comment. Again, thank you again for the toy giveaway. It was wonderful to participate. Thank you, Sheriff's Department. Thank you, Fire, and for all the volunteers. It went very smoothly, and thank you, staff. It was great. And then I just wanted to point out too again that about the resources that we have here in town and in the county for continued COVID testing and for the vaccine. Clinics are still being held. The city has been putting out information. Maybe I just strongly encourage the cities to continue to promote those local clinics that are here. CVS is scheduling appointments, Rite Aid is, and to encourage, as our public health director, Robert Levin said, for those who haven't received a booster, if you are vaccinated, to please get a booster.
Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I am going to move us into, we're going to, city manager's report. I knew I missed something. All you, Dave.
Thank you. We have a couple of job openings right now. One is the accounting supervisor. We also have a cook for the Active Adult Center and a senior nutrition aide. All the jobs have been posted on the city website. It will be put on social media. If you have any questions about that, please call Jackie Herrera. The number is at 805-946-1295. And a couple things coming up. We'll be closing Shields Park starting Friday, December 17th through January 28th to do some field rehabilitation. We'll get caught up on that. We're also taking a look at closing a part of Rio Vista Park, probably to the west of the playground equipment, where it's been torn up a little bit out there, and we're going to be taking a look at rehabbing that area as well. There are other areas at Rio Vista Park that have subsurface drip line, so we're going to have to take a look at how you want to address that. Most likely have to rip it out and put in sod on top of it because it comes from the bottom, not the top. So we're looking to do some rehab. And as everybody knows right now, we are finalizing grant applications for the Two Rivers Park. The big one's going to be talking about field improvements out there, and then see if we get awarded the grant. If we don't, we'll have to come back with a different plan on how we want to address it at that point in time. But that's all I have for this evening.
Perfect. Okay, so with that, I'm going to recess us into closed session. We have 3 items tonight. We have a conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. We have a second conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. And we also have the conference with a real property negotiator. And we will, I don't need to read these, do I? I could just say that what we're doing. I don't have to read the whole. Perfect. Okay, good. So with that, we're going to take a short recess, and we will be back to close the meeting when we're finished. Heck yeah. So, council is back in session. We were updated. There's no reportable action this evening. And I just want to, before closing, wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and most of all, a very healthy and Happy New Year. We won't be back with you, so before that happens. So if you could just come back and join us, our regularly scheduled meeting, January 11th, 2022, and good night.